4 years ago. Late. And actually, it had really gotten in bad shape. The city had it, and they repaired the roof. Came in, if you walked in the front door, it was in a big swag. You'd almost fall through the floor, you thought. And water had gotten under the building. It had penetrated the outside walls. And the floor you're standing on right now, you could walk in here before we repaired it, and you'd be stepping like, is it going to fall through on you? It had some asbestos tile. We had to have that removed and whatever. But the building, now, as you can see, it's coming back around. And in fact, people have told us it's better shape it was than when I was in school. But a little history about the old Caneyville School. And I know some people that drive through the county and the other counties and see schools, and most of them are in the middle of a town. And when the school closed up, that school became an eyesore. And this one was headed in that direction. It really was. And I'm so glad that the city bought it and had the desire to do something with it. And we hope that eventually, maybe midsummer, we're going to have a dedication and open it up, and we're going to have a community center / wellness center. Have some exercise equipment. We got a band room back there, like a 40x40 that ladies use for Zumba every night, or Mondays and Thursdays, and so we're going to put some exercise equipment in there. But I have to give you a little history. If you grew up in the 50s and 60s, I think, and I can't talk about people that are older and those who are younger, I think it was a special time. It was after the war. It was the Ozzie and Harriet type days. My mom and dad never said, watch out for strangers, because there wasn't any strangers. And if there was that one little character in the community that you were skeptical of, everybody else's parents looked out for them. It's a special type thing. And everything that happened in the city happened around this school. Okay. And I know when I got my license, my big thing, if it wasn't going on here, we drove to Litchfield and run around the castle. Drove around or whatever. That was the big thing. But if anything was going on in the community, we were right here. And the ball games is some of the things that you saw before. I remember people in the community would have their own chair. They didn't have their name on it, but you didn't dare sit in it. And I remember Scott's mom and dad, they had sat in the same place every night, and you didn't dare sit in that chair. But you could steal anything in Caneyville on ball game night, because they left the doors open, and everybody was here. But nobody stole anything. That was the good old days. But I think Caneyville is kind of a special situation in that we're 15 miles from up the road and from Clarkson, and we're at the point now where Clarkson and Litchfield are just, you can't hardly tell when you leave one and get to the other, But we're down here by ourselves, and we felt like we really needed something to draw this community together. And we're doing this restoration, and people in the community is to be commended. They really are. We have not borrowed a penny. The city has put in some money every year, and we've been fortunate with that. We went the route of trying to get money and talk to people about getting grants and that type of thing. But Scott and several of us have talked. As long as we can do it the way we're doing it now, we're better off. Because if you get a loan, try for a grant, they're going to tell you to hire an architect. You're going to pay $40,000 or $50,000 up front. They're going to bid it and spec it, and you've got to go with low bid, and the wages, the wages come in there and that type of thing, and that eliminates our free labor. Everything that's been done out here has been done because people have contributed. The alumni, the friends have contributed money. The city has been real supportive. And if you see Jason Woosley, you need to really pat him on the back, because we get the detention center boys to come in, and they have skilled labor. And if I was in detention, which I hope I never am, I would rather be out working if I had a skill. And believe it or not, we've had some skilled workers, been blessed with it. And I have to mention David Royalty. He's a deputy. He could bring those guys down here and stand like this and watch them, But he has skills, and he goes and, he'll say, Mike, what do you want done? And this is what we need to do. And we get in there and we pitch in and work. But he'll be right there with them, showing them what to do and how to do it and that type of thing. So everything we've done here it's probably been, money donations probably $100,000 now, wouldn't you say, from the community. And we're not a big wealthy community. But the alumni and friends have kicked in about $100,000. We go to Caneyville Builders as an example. We go up there and get any product that we want for the school. We get it at cost. I mean, and you think about it, that's probably a 30% savings right there. I figure the markup is probably 30% or something like that. And then the alumni, like Bobby Emery, he sponsored this one room. It's kicked off something now that every room in this old park has been sponsored. So in other words, people have set aside money that I will pay X number of dollars to restore this room. So every room is going to be restored in the old park, and we have money set aside for that. So this community is really pitched in, big time. Anybody got any questions about anything? Well, we've got a little slide projection to show you how bad things were and where we started and that type of thing. Scott said, wish we took some pictures when we bought it, how bad it was. I remember, I've been playing ball in this old gym for 40 years, I guess, and I still play in here. Full court, believe it or not. But we were in here playing one night about the time the city bought it. And the city commissioners came in with a smile on their face, but when they got through walking through the building, it was kind of like, oh my God, what have we done? It was that bad. It was that bad. We opened up the bathroom here, the girls' bathroom. We've renovated that. We've done the plumbing underneath the school and everything. We went there and opened the door. You could not stand it because water had penetrated, got locked in that room for 20 plus 30 years or whatever. And when you open the door, it would take your breath, and you could see nothing but black. So we went in there with a mask and sprayed it with bleach, shut the door back, came back in a couple of days, sprayed it with bleach, and about the third time you could walk in there. That's how bad it had gotten. But we are proud of what we've done so far, and we think this is going to be an asset that will draw the community back together. And believe it or not, it's happening. I would like, we have brochures. I'm going to preach a little bit. It's hard to get churches to work together. We've got 10 probably churches involved in this Easter play. And I think we counted the other night 6 maybe ministers that are involved in the Easter play. If you would like to come, we would like to see you here. But this community is beginning to draw together. And your dad was one thing. We tore this floor out of this room. And we were debating, should we put wood back in here? And about a 2-hour span, somebody said, I'll pay for the concrete. Your dad said, I'll donate the rock. And about 2 hours' time, we already figured out how we was going to do this floor. And, we were counting pennies and dimes, and these people said, we'll take care of it. So that's what's happened. It's snowballed, and unity is, the community is just kind of united on this whole thing. And I'm not going to take a whole lot more time, but this is it restoration or renovation? We're doing a little bit of both. We're renovating this part, and we're going to restore upstairs. In other words, we had to put a new floor in and all this type of thing. We tried to match it up. When we put the banister in that had been closed up, we tried to scratch through the paint and get down to the original color when it was first put in, and we think we've done a decent job with that. But when we get upstairs, the old 1x4 tongue and groove pine floor can be sanded, stained, and put polyurethane, and it'll look like it used to. And so when you go upstairs, there'll be 6 classrooms that can be used for whatever, but it'll have the old traditional look to it. But when you come down here, obviously, you didn't have concrete floor back then. But this is going to be used a lot, so we wanted it to be that way. So school restoration project or renovation or whatever, when it came in, it had tile and the old pressed wood on the entry. That's when we, I started this. And, of course, today this is what it looks like. Now, this is interesting. If my wife came from Shrewsbury as a freshman, she came to Caneyville School. When she walked through, somebody stole it or broke it or whatever, and we had another one printed up. But I can remember it says, through these doors walked some of the finest students on earth. Don't let it be said to your shame that all was good here before you came. And she said, well, I hope I don't mess up. But a lot was expected from you when you were a student here. And I think that's one reason that we still hold on to this old school the way that we do.
And that hung there through the elementary school years also.
Yes, it did.
I remember it.
Yeah, it sure did. And that was a kind of a philosophy when you walked through the door. You wanted to be, you didn't want to let anybody down, and that's the way it was. And our new floor, and Scott had the idea we put the C in there, and I think it's worked out real good. Mark etched that in for us. That's the C in the middle of the floor. And this has been a real lifesaver. We talk about money being created. We sell bricks, and and it's for alumni or friends or anybody in the community who wants to be supportive. You can 3 lines at 17 characters or something like that, right? 16 characters. You could put what you wanted in there. Most of it's alumni and friends, and they put the year that they went to schools or whatever. We charge $120 for a brick, and I think we've got $35,000 worth of brick right there, probably. What happens is the $20 will pay for the etching and putting in the ground and the concrete or whatever. We figure that much will take care of the brick, and then we get $100 to use on the restoration. So that's been a real good thing for us. It really has. And never did like this part. When they closed, we put windows up here, and they've got brick that didn't match, and closed up the windows and put plywood in, and it's just an eyesore. And now if you walk in, well, you see, now this was something that I never did like. Never did like. And I had nothing to do with it. When they built it,
They should have built up instead of outright.
when they built it down there, the state tells you what you need to do, and they have to follow guidelines and all that type of thing. And people made fun of us. He said, you tore down the best part of the building. Well, yeah, but it was an eyesore. We didn't like it.
It wasn't as good as you did.
And no, it wasn't. It had leaks and everything else in it.
No, it looks so good after it was taken off.
Yeah.
Every time we drive by now, we're like, it looks.
But that younger group, they said, well, that's where I went to school, and you tore it down.
Yeah.
But this is how the wall looked out there. And if you went in the gym a while ago, we started with 2 sections to show the alumni. We meant business, and we went ahead and worked and opened up a couple, and then the money started rolling in. And that's in the process of doing that. Still opening it up. Now, the plaster is up here. You're talking about history, and it's like preaching to the choir, I know, because all you all history buffs. But that old plaster, that old lattice they had in there, and they'd stick that in there. The craftsmanship that went into this building is just amazing. They have lattice that would meet every ceiling joist up above you, or rafters on the wall, 1 nail in each one for every one. And it's just amazing. And we had to tear all that out because it was so bad. We put drywall back, but we got the same look. So we are building it back better than it was originally. And that's in the process of putting the banister back. Now, this is the room you're sitting in. This is when we were pouring concrete through the window. This was awful when we came in here. We were pouring concrete in this room that you're sitting in right now. And that's the front of the building. We tore out that brick that you saw earlier, and that's the alumni room, the one probably some of you have been in. That will be this is the alumni room. I have a lot of memorabilia, and the one over here that we're working on now is going to be like the same thing, only it's going to have a lot of old Caneyville stuff in it. That's this room. And we're working on the walls in the gym. Water damage. We're insulating and drywalling this, and we're spraying insulation up there to this little R factor. Windows, new windows. Having that cost from Caneyville Builders, probably saving $100 on a window. Room up front. Process of putting in the windows. This is when we're spraying insulation. Now this is interesting. See, when they built that building out on the front, I was just afraid that it was attached. And I heard rumors that no, it's not attached. So I went and took a sledgehammer one day, and I beat that hole out to see that brick behind it. And sure enough, there was like a 16 or 18 inch gap between the building that we just tore down and the old structure behind it. So that really saved us from trying to repair all of that. So And that's some of the guys up there when we're getting ready to tear it down, getting the rock and stuff off the roof. And that's in the process of tearing it down. You see this, we've already replaced these, and that's being replaced. We already got them in. We don't have them painted and all that kind of thing. But you can see that building's already looking better with that part down. That's the room that we restored. We call it the alumni room. That's the one next door. Terrible shape when we got there. We're putting the old schoolhouse lights back in. That's the room that we're working on right across the entry door. Bad shape. We've managed to save, I guess, maybe a third of the floor, 2/3 of the floor in there. Water had gotten under the building, same room. And these are inmates working, which I shouldn't be showing you pictures of. It's back. And then we're starting upstairs, and if you've noticed out there in the gym, we have opened up the upstairs. We was hoping the banister would be in there. The old banister, let me tell you this story. You can see it on that picture. There used to be a banister about as knee high, and then about 6 inches up was a pipe, if you remember. And you see some of those basketball pictures. People would sit with their legs over the banister and lean on the pipe like this. And, of course, now, if it was up there, I'm surprised. I went to school, and nobody never fell off that thing. Today, somebody would be pushing every day to try to get somebody off that. But anyway, we're putting it back like at 36 inches like we've done downstairs, and we'll put the pipe out, make it 42, make it in the code. Really opened up the upstairs. Here's the floor we're talking about. Great. I mean, people pay high dollars for that old type floor. It's got the character. It's got, it's just... Well, you've heard people taking barns down at night because they go in there and take them down before the owner found out what was going on. They want that barn lumber. This kind of wood right here is really important and high dollar stuff. And that's the room that we're working on before we had to tear the windows and the brick and everything out. Same thing. And that's upstairs. That was studded wall with insulation, with plywood, drywall, and on the other side had acoustic board on it. So it was a mess to tear up. And that's what it looked like before we started upstairs. That's the first hole we cut to see what the old gym looked like. And we put that on. Mark put that on. We have a school restoration site on Facebook. We've got like 1,000 hits or something like that because everybody could see that picture. Everybody wants to see that gym from that angle. And that's kind of what we're looking at now. I've draped it for heat purposes and that type of thing. It's a process of taking it out. And we're back to the beginning. I'd be glad to answer any questions. We're proud of this old school. We are we're probably about halfway done, but we're at the point where we think we can open up and start doing business, and we're just extremely proud of it. And I'm extremely proud of the council that's been, our city council has been very supportive and had the desire to keep the old building. I came on the board after about 2 years after they bought it, and my wife says I live down here, so it's my home away from home.
His band's getting ready to pass.
Yeah, there she is right now.
I just want to say congratulations. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Savannah, Georgia, but I went to school at SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design for architecture, and they have a historic preservation district there. It's the largest historic preservation district in the United States. And the fact that you guys have been able to come together and do this on a community basis is really phenomenal. So congratulations again, and this is great, so kudos.
Well, and like I say, I think this is community is just a little bit different than most. I really do. And maybe it's just where we're at. But we're a tight-knit community. And just an example of, I thought about doing this Easter program. I thought, I can't get this many churches involved. But I tell you, it's just growing and growing. And it's, I think, well, I'll tell you an example. If I asked you to come to my church next Sunday, you might say, well, I come, but then you don't want to come to my church because of something over the door, maybe, whatever. But you can come here to a school, and everybody can join together, and that's what we've done. And we have a good school fair. We have Scott and the bank puts on our tree lighting. We have a lot of people. We had a fantastic Halloween safe spot, which somebody said we saw as much as 800 to 1,000 kids and people come through that night. So I believe this is going to be a focal point of our community, and I think there'll be something going on all the time. It'll never be like it once was, because it was basketball and school functions and that type thing, but it'll be community functions, and it can be just as good. And what I'm doing, I want the legacy to live on. It'll be a different type, but my kids will come in, remember how it is today, and hopefully they'll keep that going in generations to come. Or will. So, anybody else have any comments or any questions?
And I think we ought to give Mike a hand of appreciation for his dedication to this project.
I'm kind of hard to live with. If I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't be here. I really love this old building, this old school, what it meant to me, and I love this community. It's a way that I can give back, and I enjoy it. Appreciate it. Scott, I'm done.
Sounds good. We did everything else, so we appreciate it.
Okay. And if you haven't been in those rooms, and if you haven't seen the old boys' bathroom, guys, or the girls' bathroom, been there or whatever. But we would like to invite you all to come back for our grand opening in June 25th.
And pick up one of those and take them where you live.
Yep.
Pass these out and promote this for us if you would.
We did bring some old annuals and information on the city of Caneyville. It's on display in the room next door.
Hey.
Yes. Okay.
And I believe you signed Tennessee, right?
I did, yes.